Hi everybody. Tonight I'm going to attempt to get a little bit of my black ghost knife fish feeding. I've seen him out and about a little bit earlier when I put some sinking pellets in there, and I noticed he's getting really big. So apparently his appetite is growing as well. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to put some bloodworms in this tank. In fact, I'm going to put a lot of bloodworms in this tank. So I want to make it clear right off the bat, this is not how I feed these fish normally. This is only for the purposes of this video. I'm really trying to get everybody a good look at this black ghost knife fish. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little tip on the way I will do this. I'm trying to deliberately get these bloodworms to the bottom because I have some voracious feeders in this tank. So I want to get them down to where the knife fish is going to be. So a simple piece of PVC tubing, my bloodworms in a glass, and a little funnel. And then you simply use the funnel to put in the top of the tubing, and then you can actually pour the bloodworms directly into the bottom of the tank. Which in this case should cause a feeding frenzy, and I'm hoping it will bring that black ghost knife fish out. That's the only reason I did this. So while we're waiting to see if that happens, let me put the lights back where they belong. I will talk a little bit about feeding and what I just did and why I don't normally do that. I actually had somebody ask me earlier about a different fish, well actually just a couple of my fish in general, and how I got the kind of coloration and what sort of food I gave them. And I use a pretty good variety of foods, but I use mostly prepared foods. I don't do a ton of the real high protein meaty stuff like this. This is a rare treat for this tank. That's why you see such a frenzy. I'm really hoping just the flavor is what's going to bring the black ghost knife fish out. A lot of it depends largely on your animal. If you have fish like my black ghost knife fish, for example, is primarily a predator and would be a meat eater in the wild. So meaty food like this on a regular basis is fine for a fish like that, but it's not necessary if you're using high quality prepared foods. They provide plenty of protein. You know, if you've got a wild caught animal that won't eat prepared foods, that's maybe a different story. You know, you might have to use this kind of food to get them started, but you eventually can get them trained to eat prepared food, and so this kind of food really isn't necessary. If you've got things like the gouramis in there, even the Synodontis is primarily vegetarian, while they will eat meat. Their bodies are not set up to digest a lot of meat, and in my early days I actually spoiled one of my dwarf gouramis to death, you know, by giving it bloodworms every day, and you know, as food instead of a rare treat. And it got fatter and fatter and fatter, and then it died, and I had no idea why. And I found out later, I constipated it to death. Its body was just not equipped to deal with that much protein. The more protein a body, and this holds true for humans as well, the more protein your body has to deal with, the more water it needs to do so. And when you get into fish that live in water, I've spoken before about this, it gets into osmoregulation and how much water these fish are able to pass through their bodies. So you get too much protein, they're unable to use enough water, their kidneys get overworked, and you know, their digestion can't handle it, and they wind up getting constipated. So a big wad of you know, bloodworms like that is not something I would normally do at all. And in this particular case, in this tank, the Congo Tetras actually spawn frequently, and they are egg scatterers, and eggs of course are very high protein food. So the black ghost knife fish gets plenty of high quality protein without me ever having to dump large amounts of bloodworms or anything like that in here. So the vast majority of what my fish get fed is either flake, sinking pellets, I'll do shrimp pellets, and I do a lot of algae wafers. Most fish, unless they're really, really hardcore carnivores, most fish just love a good high quality algae wafer. and it's good for them. So that's my main staple, is just prepared foods like that. So unfortunately, with all that frenzy, it probably prevented the black ghost knifefish from actually coming out, which I really hadn't considered. It's a fairly shy fish. I should have known there was going to be an explosion of activity when I did that. But that was still fun to watch, and it was some information worth getting out there about how to feed your animals. So I will sit here tonight and I will keep my eyes open, and if I get that black ghost knifefish coming out, I will turn the camera back on. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and call this a video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. If you did, if you liked it, please subscribe. Please like my videos. And as always, I thank you for watching.